Hey there, Adrienne Elise here. Welcome to the SuperNova Astrology update for October 2nd through 9th, 2023. Well, here we are at a new month and a new energy. October 2023 is full of intense astrology, very powerful energies. So let's talk it through. Right now, we are feeling the Sun and Pallas Athene together, Asteroid Goddess Pallas Athene. In Libra. Exact today. We'll be feeling this through the first week of October, and a very powerful message of what October is about. The Sun, who we think we are, in Libra, looking for balance and harmony and peace. But we're realizing that we cannot negotiate our way to this peace. We must stand strong in our power and who we really are as souls who have potential and the right to evolve spiritually. We are realizing that we've been in a war, this whole evolution, with forces who do not want us to evolve beyond this 3D reality. Because in this 3D reality, they can keep us as slaves and continue to farm us for our energy. So this is everything that October is about, especially with Pluto having retrograded back to 27 degrees, 54 minutes, as far as Pluto will make it back into Capricorn. This is also where Pluto was in on July 4th, 1776, or the beginning of America. And so we are in a revolutionary war worldwide for our freedom to evolve, our God-given rights. And so there is an incredible pressure right now for all of us, especially as advanced souls, supernova souls, to stand up in our right for our evolution and to recognize and realize that there is no higher power outside the human soul. This came through again and again in the Edgar Cayce readings, that the highest authority is a human soul and a body. We have the power. That's why they want to farm us. And so it's up to us to stand up and say, no, we have the power. The people take back the power now. But how do we do it without creating more karma, without being in war, without creating bloodshed? And this is the mystery of these times that we're living in. And really, that is the question that makes everything else make sense of the movie that we're watching in the events of our world as they play out. But it's all about this. It's all about whether or not you have the right to be who you really are. They don't want you to know who you are in your light and in your power and in your intuition, because then they can't keep us as slaves anymore. Supernova souls, we stand at the edge. We've gotten this message again and again that we are leading the way in spiritual ascension. And we are being given an opportunity to stand strong and true in our resolute knowing that there is no rightful claim on our energy and there is no higher authority. So this is the journey that we're on, and this is pretty much in a nutshell October. So very powerful that here, right at the beginning of the month, we've got the Sun and Pallas together, and you could see the Sun as a masculine energy, the ruler of Leo, and Pallas Athene as a feminine energy. Although she hangs out with the warriors and with the kings, they trust her strategy, her intuition. And so there's this incredible, beautiful balance between the masculine and the feminine in Libra. Like, this is the key. And it is. I mean, for us to come into our light body, our activated self of this, what we're talking about in our spiritual evolution, we must have a balance between the masculine and feminine. This is why forces have sought to keep these against each other. Divide and conquer agenda again and again. And it's got us divided inside in this duality consciousness and this fight within. And now we turn when we recognize the common enemy and these forces that have worked against spiritual ascension all the way back to Atlantean time. And so here we are, these sons and daughters, children of God, standing up for our pure expression of the truth of who we are. And Pallas Athene and the sun in Libra is saying, we gotta use the art of war to get our way out of this, because it's like, that's just what they want, is us to engage in an outright battle with these energies. And I'm sure you've been feeling it. I mean, we're having a bloom of harassment and control energies like we haven't seen in quite a while. And it all has to do with Pluto going back into Capricorn. But guess what? Pluto is turning direct on the 11th of October. And we've gotten the message that this is the turning of the tide. This is the beginning of the power coming back to the people. And so everything is about this. So the sun and Pallas together kind of setting the stage of like, all right, how do we win this war without fighting? How do we win without engaging in the enemy? And we do it by simply claiming what is rightfully ours all along. Now, it's part of the energy of all the work that I've done. If you've ever done an activation, a meditation, a session with me, there's often opportunities for clearing authority contracts. And the authority contract we're coming up against here is what I call the original contract. It's these energies, and once we're aware of this, it's like, it's not other humans. It's not these energies that have had control over the earth are what we call extraterrestrial, I guess, but like hybrids or creatures that don't have a human soul, and they want what's ours. And they're willing to destroy everything just to keep us from having what's ours. This is the, pathological narcissist psychopath agenda. And this is the deal, because it's like, in this current medical agenda, it's just such a nightmare. In this infiltration of our beautiful, beautiful, pristine, God-given temple of our body has been infiltrated by this artificial intelligence, energy, and nanotechnology. And this is such a breach. And yet it's like, the energy of this is that it's literally farming our energy, trying to abduct our human soul and keep us from who we are. But it's like the parasite is destroying the host, and they don't care because they just want to win at all costs. But it's a very, very strange situation. And we've all been in that, where because this is the interesting thing about this original contract. For so long, I was like, how do we find these contracts? How do we get rid of them? What is this about? And the answer that came was that we, supernova souls, we've all had these relationships with these narcissists. And those extreme narcissist relationships are literally where we break these contracts, where we say, no, you're not in charge of me. Because this contract, I think this is really important to understand, because the original contract is like, they can't keep us from incarnating here as advanced souls, but they have done everything to keep us from being together, from recognizing who we are, validating our spiritual path and purpose, stealing our memories of our Akashic records of who we've been and what we've done in previous lifetimes. If we had that, we'd be so empowered. And maybe this is part of what wants to come through. We're going to be doing some soul group sessions, group intuitive sessions, shared past life, looking at shared past life pictures for the eclipses that are coming up in October. We're in eclipse season. And so maybe we'll get some more answers there. But it's important concept to kind of consider this original contract. Now, we have to understand that these power energies that are playing power games actually don't have any power. They're using our power, and they're running out of power. They're running out of money. They're running out of resources. But the whole game and the story is like, okay, well, we can't stop you from incarnating. But then on the way in order to get here, and Supernova Soul's so excited to come and be a part of Earth and help, and just, but at that gateway, it's like, you must agree, kind of like Rumpelstiltskin demanding, first child of the queen. It's like, you must agree to never come into your higher potential. And if you do, we're going to punish you and remind you of this contract. And we kind of had to make these contracts in order to get here. But now it's time for them to be reviewed. And interestingly enough, as soon as the queen knew Rumpelstiltskin's name, he just was sucked up by the earth. So is this the game we're in? It's like we're watching these dark forces that we couldn't even imagine how dark and how aggressive they are. They've been hidden under the surface of our world for thousands of years, and now they're being exposed. And we can call them by name. Now, that was a big energy of the Equinox Soul Group session, was being able to turn around, because the attacks that we've experienced as advanced souls in the past often came as a shock or a surprise from behind. It was kind of that energy. But now we know what we're up against. And this is kind of the story we're seeing. It's like everything that's happened in our so-called past lives or parallel lives, but what we've already experienced was actually creating information and understanding what's crucial for us to get out of the trap now. And we're accessing all of this, and it's quite amazing. But when you can turn and say, I see you, you don't have power over me, because I know my God-given human right, my soul and my body still intact, no prior authority, no rightful claim on our energy. And so a lot of supernova souls have been feeling this, not even realizing what they've been going through, but like a cellular fight in their body on a cellular level. And a big prayer of mine and mantra is this God code DNA, right? Like, we have been infiltrated with an mRNA, but let's make it a Mary RNA. Let's make it the mother. Let's reprogram that shit. And everybody who has in DNA infiltration and reprogramming, it's reprogramming back to the God code, right? We can turn the ship around. This is what they don't want us to know. So this is October. This is when we go, whoa, this is fucked up shit, but we're more powerful. You're more powerful. All you did was agree not to come into your power and to be scared of it. And so, to be punished for it. And so we're working all this out as we dance on the threshold of coming into our own light body, our own ability to control our own universe around us. And it's, it's like I just think of the souls that have been doing this work in the past, and they were way up in the caves, and they were, or in the caves, in the mountains, and, doing this work in these retreat centers where they were completely away from everybody. And here we are being continually surveilled on multiple levels, trying to figure out all alone how to remember and come back into our light body just enough in just enough time, to save ourselves and the world. It's quite an injury, but this is the hero's journey, and we're on it, and we already won. Okay, so this is the message. Once you know your power, once we know our power, we already won. And this is where we're at. We are revealing Oz behind the curtain, and there's nothing to him, nothing of substance. Everything that we've been shown as power in this world actually has nothing to back it up. And this is the reconciliation that we're in. This is the mother returning. This is all the energy around Jupiter and Uranus and Taurus, this complete reworking of our relationship to physical form, and understanding that we can work with the particles. We have access. This is what these higher intuitive gifts we're talking about, is recognizing that everything is made up of raw materials. And we as advanced souls can work with those raw materials and create our own reality. And we're just right there at the edge. And when you're at the edge, it's like keep getting knocked down. But Another message that's come through for supernova souls is that the struggle to take back our power is very important, because if we didn't have the struggle, we wouldn't feel worthy. We'd be continually scared of our power and we wouldn't go anywhere near it. So this struggle is giving us the opportunity to be like, let's mind give it back. On this incredible resolve within our being and alignment with what's right and good and true, which is this reevaluation, right? So everything we've seen that's been beautiful and powerful, like Hollywood and, our Facebook facades and everything, it's like empty. Our money, printed money, more and more printed money while we are in financial slavery. Nothing to back it up. Okay. So in the turning of the tide, the flipping of the tables, it's like a reveal. It's that Oz behind the curtain. There's nothing to back it up. There's nothing to back up your power except our energy you've been farming from us. Game over. And this is where we're at. And so I can feel supernova souls being like, oh, I thought I made it through this and now it's back again. This is just Pluto at the tail end of Capricorn. And we are coming up against that threshold place where we know for certain, first of all, it's our power. Second of all, we can totally handle it. It's not going to hurt anybody. I mean, they want us to think it's destructive. And that was the programming all the way back in Atlantean time, so that we don't go anywhere near this power. Because if we do, we're going to blow up the world. It's just a complete and total lie. This power is harmonizing. Higher frequency vibrations, when you start to work with them, are harmonizing. And this is like Mother Earth, Mother Dragon awakening, the Kundalini awakening of Earth, going from a particle reality can break and destruct to a wave reality that just moves and transforms as needed. And this is the key to everything. The mother and our connection to this great mother energy is what gets us through all of it. She's returning. She's here. She is our protection. She is our force field, because she's our body. And when we work with her, we can have that permission and kind of understanding and protection of how to come into our own force fields. So this is everything that I think the Jupiter and Uranus in Taurus is really about. We've been feeling this with Venus in square to Uranus since 25th of September. And now Venus has been with Juno, Asteroid Goddess Juno, which is about betrayal, commitment, anger, inequalities. And is Venus feeling it? It's like she was too distraught, too victimized to kind of see, to even process the grief. And now she's like, wait a minute, you guys cast me out of the garden, my garden, and beat me down into nothing. And she's just supposed to stand up and be okay with all of this. There's a process of grief as we return to our power. And a lot of it is releasing that lower self. So all the traumas we've experienced through lifetimes are designed to keep us trapped in our lower self. That trigger of trauma, back to trauma, back to trauma, back to trauma. That's all designed because that pain and those experiences we went through keep us in a lower personality construct. This is the work we've been doing on other levels that's been exhausting, supernova souls, but just shows what a rock star you are. Visiting these past lives or parallel experiences and correcting the timeline, taking back your power, taking back these pieces of yourself, getting out of the victim energy so we can stand up and be like, yeah, no more. We see through your tactics. Game over, And so that's the energy of Venus and Juno facing these deep griefs of the feminine being so betrayed. Where's the masculine been through these thousands of years to stand for her? Well, the masculine, supernova souls in a masculine, in a male body, whether we were in a male or female body, we were persecuted for our intuition, for our voice. Our one message that was the most damaging, that got us killed again and again, that we stand for, supernova souls, is that we have our own But this is the message we're trying to bring to humanity. We have our own direct connection to source. And that little idea was such a threat to the patriarchal structures, as well as our light body. And isn't it glorious that we stand here in this final hour? And as their darkness and their horrible, horrible, unthinkable acts are revealed, also our light is revealed. And all of humanity needs to step back and be like, oh, wow, we're sorry we burned you. You're our saviors. And yet we know that paradigm isn't exactly right. It's just to get a bigger picture of what's going on and to understand the intensity you might be going through. Supernova souls, this is a culmination of many lifetimes of work. So, yeah, Juno and Venus there together in Leo, kind of being like, well, the whole world is against the feminine, and yet we can't go anywhere or heal anything without her. You know, she's our love, she's our care, she's our mother. And this is the flip of the tables, is about coming back into a nurturing society based on nurturing life rather than genociding life and twisting life and distorting life, you know? And so this is the empowerment of the feminine, the cleansing of the feminine, because Venus is now coming into the tip of the yod, and we're feeling her in conjunct relationship to Neptune in Pisces, and then also she's coming into her in conjunct relationship today. We're feeling her come in to the in conjunct relationship to Pluto. So this is like the yod is that finger of destiny across the way from the sextile. Now, the sextile between Pluto and Capricorn and Neptune and Pisces in the middle of that is Aquarius. So this is all about the moving into the Aquarian age. And then Venus there at the tip of this yod. So empowering, so powerful, because Venus is also in a trine with the galactic center in Sagittarius, our ultimate human destiny. This is the hero's journey. We got to step back and be like, whoa, 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 whoa. This story's been going on from the beginning of this Earth evolution. We're at this stage now. We've always been on this journey. It's always been about this. And we stand in our power right here in every moment by just knowing this, knowing in our heart and soul, breathing breath of light, life, focusing on this mother returning into our body and into the earth and the world as we begin to nurture ourselves back into our power. Us intuitive souls, that's our feminine side, whether we're in a male body or a female body. And it's a purification of the feminine. It's something I don't talk about, but there's a dark side, just like there's a dark side to the masculine. Of course, we know there's a dark side to the feminine, the dark mother energy, or this distortions of the feminine. And that's all getting cleaned up too. This is represented by Black Moon Lilith having been in Leo this whole time that Venus has been in Leo. Black Moon Lilith actually moved into Leo in January. So it's like we can trace this whole story back to then. And this week, Black Moon Lilith moves over into the sign of Virgo. So the chapters are completing, and just keep this in mind, right? Because sometimes in the hero's journey, in that epic tale, which is this galactic center in Sagittarius being activated, right before you get to the end of a chapter, it's often pretty exciting and dramatic, and you don't know what's going to happen. And that's where we are. But we know our power, and we know that we've already been. And this is the place that we're at. And now it unfolds. True story, real story. And it's the only way through. We've got to have a full disclosure of all the lies of our history, education system, our financial system, just lies upon lies upon lies that have kept us small and not knowing who we are. Game over, because supernova souls are here. And landing, right? We're finally landing home. And it's all this fear programming and literally dark programs we've been involved in, and this is not their lifetimes, trying to keep us from connection to the soul essence, but nothing can stop. That's why you went through hell and back. Now you get to reap the reward. stand up and take it right here, right now, in this moment. Keep breathing, keep loving. And so it's powerful that Venus and Juno, with this grief and this betrayal and this just like, just like facing these dark truths around the light of the feminine being stolen. And they've been in square to Uranus. And that's just so the square to Uranus was right at the end of the month for that full moon in Aries. Oh my gosh, so powerful. And that Venus square Uranus, the effect of that, and Juno in the mix lasts up through October 4th. And this October 4th is a very powerful day, 10-4, 10-4. And so we'll be exploring that because October 4th is the exact day that Mars comes up to the South Node. We're already feeling this. And also that we begin to feel Mars's next stop, which is kind of the quintessential intensity of these times, Mars coming into square with Pluto. So we'll talk through that, but just a little bit more about this Uranus, because Uranus, we talk about this different relationship to substance, because Uranus is higher frequency vibrations, technologies, our intuitive awareness, our access to the truth, ancient wisdom, future technologies. And Venus and Juno in square is saying her own technologies, like supernovas, are technologies we worked with in Atlantean time, stolen and used against all of humanity to create destruction. And so this square with Uranus is just this like frustration because Venus is finally coming out, her last hurdle. And Uranus is like that authority energy in this place because it's a square saying, oh yeah, this is your power, girl. You really can handle it. Are you sure? You know? And this is where it's interesting because this dance with this Libra energies of like the art of war, try not to get in the battle, but you'll find forces around you wanting to make you angry, triggering you into lower energy expressions, maybe even to try to get you into trouble, right? And it's like pushing you when you're a non-violent soul, but pushing you to that corner. You know, those narcissistic energies, it could just be where we're at right now is to understand that those narcissistic energies that always just worked through one person in relationships, now, because of the technological invasion in our body, our physical body, literally bodies can be controlled through a handheld device. And so these energies can work through anybody at any time. And so it's very confusing because it's like, where did that attack come from? And so to remember that they want to trigger us into these lower energies, they want us to self-destruct our life. And yet that righteous anger is so important. And this is the Mars square Pluto. It's like, because in order to get out of under the rock, a victim, we've got to find that empowerment. And so the righteous anger is that next place. And righteous anger is so much healthier than victimization, hopeless victim, right? That's where they've been keeping us for so long. And this is the feminine coming out. Because we're talking about all supernova souls, like I said, with this intuitive thing and the role of Venus and this story that's playing out. Very powerful, though, that Venus is now at the tip of the yod, and of course Juno as well, and this inconjunct relationship. So the tip of the yod is very powerful because it's destiny point, right? And everything is pointing to the feminine because that represents this technology that's been stolen and hidden from us, and our intuitive technology to be able to know who we are, what we've experienced as souls, and how powerful we are. But a yod itself is created by two inconjuncts, meaning directly across the zodiac, one sign over. The inconjunct energy has this energy of something that needs to be adjusted, an adjustment that needs to be made. And so again, Venus, it's all about feminine adjustment and cleaning up that dark feminine who's had to try to manipulate her way out of the madness. And you could just take and understand the dark feminine. You could just take all the good, beautiful things about mother energy and turn it inside out. instead of giving, taking. It's a narcissist picture, right? And every turn taking any opportunity to manipulate more power out of the situation. The mother is full of energy and light and love. She is a fountain. All we have to do is share, enjoy, and honor this communion with her, and her blessings unfold in beautiful ways. So we've got to rework these archetypes because so many of us are wounded by this like reptilian mother type of energy, the energy of the mother that withholds and the mother who uses your needs. This is in every relationship, right? It's like the energy of the people that you thought were your friends, but they actually use your needs when you're vulnerable to knock you down and take your power and to keep you there. Because if you knew who you were, you would never stand for it. Okay. This is the karmic situation most supernova souls have dealt with over lifetimes. Family members and friends, close acquaintances, that their whole soul purpose was to keep you from knowing your soul purpose. It's kind of an empty existence. And supernova souls, so intuitive and aware and loving and forgiving, often have taken on the garbage, the karma, the dark energies, because it's like, oh, that's such an empty, subconsciously, not even really aware of this dynamic, but having this feeling like, oh, their whole energy is about keeping me from my energy, and that's so empty. And how can I leave them behind in that emptiness? So if I take my energy and I go and I live my purpose, then they have no purpose. This is our codependent, like under the rock, hopeless victim. We've got to get out of that place, right? And we know we've been working on this for so long, but now it's all coming to a head. And so Black Moon Lilith kind of represents that dark feminine, the distortions of the feminine, the deep mysteries of the feminine, the secrets. In this case, it's all that's in Leo, all that's covered up, the light of the feminine, and the powerful message of Black Moon Lilith for their third and Venus for their third and final conjunction, the dark feminine, the light feminine, annihilating all of those stories and being reborn and rebirthed at 0 degrees Virgo. You can't make this shit up. 0 degrees Virgo, Virgo is purification. It's like, it is that earth mother goddess. It's like sorting out the wheat from the chaff and discriminating and cleaning and clearing and coming back to purity. And it's the virgin, And so it's like the dark feminine and the light feminine fusing back into wholeness and cleansing and clearing and healing completely in this final grand initiation for the feminine and purification, and then stepping into the queen that she is, purified and whole. It's kind of like the end of it's like a complete reworking of what Black Moon Lilith means in astrology. So it's powerful that when Venus and Black Moon Lilith, so Black Moon Lilith is making her shift to Virgo on, guess what, 10/4, October 4th. And then Venus will catch up on the 10th. Venus moves over to Virgo. And Venus has been in Leo since June, the end of May. Oh, it's been a long journey of this pressure on her to overcome all darkness and all by herself, all alone, with no support, come back into the light she is so she can save the world. It's intense. And so it's exactly represented in the dynamic that there's this purification, there's this initiation of the queen mother goddess back on her throne, and yet Venus and Black Moon Lilith are opposing Saturn. But together in their power, they're like, Saturn, Satan, we see you. We see all your games, your war against the feminine is only showing us how powerful these intuitive gifts and the energy available in our very own body is. And now we see you. And Saturn is at 0 degrees Pisces, but 1 degree Pisces, but we'll move to 0 degrees Pisces on October 12th. And so that's where Saturn will turn direct. 0 degrees Pisces and started at 7 degrees with those sextile with Jupiter. Beautiful, magical. And then they come back into sextile in January. So at 7 degrees again. And so now Jupiter is going back to that placement, and Saturn is completing his retrograde, like I said, on 11/4. And it's so powerful to go from 7 degrees, the number of Christ consciousness, and Saturn is the laws and rules, the story, the timeline, the original timeline, and the absconding of our timeline. And so that going back to 0 degrees is a complete reset of our timeline. And Venus and Black Moon Lilith are there being like, we see you. No more shenanigans. Mother has come home. And it will not be allowed. Not on our watch. And so it's a purification as the feminine is purified and the Great Mother comes home to her throne. Also, her timeline is purified and a restart to the Christ consciousness. Because we had this beautiful impulse of Christ consciousness in the etheric body of the earth. That was the message that Rudolf Steiner talked about by the Christ mysteries, the mystery of Golgotha, which was the location and deeper mysteries around the crucifixion, resurrection of Yeshua, Jesus. And so that was like this impulse of light. And Rudolf Steiner talked about that brought an etheric energy, a new energy to the earth, to our realm, this Christ consciousness available, those raw materials for us to take into our body. And now the second coming is actually our incarnation of Christ consciousness in our body, our golden robe. And so it's just so crazy how the astrology is just exactly telling us the story is true. And that talks about reclaiming the mysteries and the miracles underneath the lies and delusions of the Piscean age. Because the Piscean age became about taking that religious feeling, the spiritual feeling of connectedness, and using it to control humanity through patriarchal structures, and reset after reset, burning the witches anytime anybody got close, or the heretics close to light body, just eradicating the shamans and the teachers and the healers, and stealing the magic and using that energy of oneness and connection to control humanity through fear and trauma and take away our technology anytime we got close to remembering who we are. So wow, what a reset. And so that's a very powerful energy. And Black Moon Lilith, and so Venus is in the yod through the first week of October, and we're already feeling this. And then through and then pretty much through when she moves into Virgo on the 10th, yod, we'll just still be feeling that. And Juno not too far out of that, and that trine with the galactic center saying, come on, girl, I know you've been beaten down, but it's time to stand up and shine, right? Against all odds. And yet it's her destiny. And she's kind of like, nobody's been there for me, and I've been all alone, and you guys just let all this happen to me, and blah, 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 and it's just like, because you wanted it that way. You wanted to fully come into your power all by yourself to know it's yours. And the truth is, you don't need anybody. Goddess is completely whole and complete and just oozing with beautiful juices of the Holy Grail. And is this what was the big intimidation of patriarchal realities? What they needed to steal and stop? Because when we feel connected to the goddess, in like, say, the ancient pagan cultures, and that reverence in these seasonal festivals, and just like this bounty and love and being in that and connected and feeling her love and feeling her protection and in the etheric energies of the earth, which maybe that is the Christ consciousness returning, is the mother actually, then it's really hard to be scared, So they first had to get rid of her in order for all the shenanigans. And so it only makes sense that as all that nightmare is resolving, she is the dream returning to us, in our soul, in our body, in our etheric field. It's not like what we've been taught about religion in all the structures, where it's like, well, you do these things You go to church, you play your alms, or you do your prayers, you do your chants, you do your supplications, you do these things. Then you can have the goodness of the gods, right? And the goddess. And it's like, no, 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 that's a complete misinterpretation. And patriarchal father god punishments and rewards, that's not her. It's just a union with her. It's a natural born reverence of this connection. Like, oh, it's a field of energy. It's not give and take. It's the fountain of abundance. And when we can be that container for these energies, then we become that fountain of abundance. And this is who we are, supernova souls. We're right there at the edge. And I know it feels like we're being beaten down, but it's like you're just about to step up the one more step of the staircase into the true light of who you are. In a beautiful celebration, whether the world's ready or not. There's nothing more to wait for. That's a lie. Everywhere. See, right at the very end of the game in the hero's journey, there's always that trap where it's like he thought that he was being helped by certain forces and people in the council, right? We're going to help you. We're going to show you and train you how to use your gifts and skills. And it's like, no, no, no. Actually, we're identifying you so that we can program and control you. And so we're getting out of the trap. At the very end, there's like a timeline that seems like it's the God consciousness timeline, but it's just another matrix. And that's exactly where we are. And it's tricky. And it's every moment of every day that we have to realize and recognize the power, because time is getting so strange, isn't it? That means we only have right now and the vibrational frequency of right now. And so we got to just use those same chants and things that people have used to try to get what they want from God and the goddess, to clear our mind and be in devotion, which is devotion to our light and the truth of this world and each other. Supernova souls, wow, we're so amazing. And we've been deliberately isolated. Now, this is a lot of the energy coming up right now with Mars coming into okay, just on the timeline, I'll try to finish my thought here. The Yod lasts through the first week, pretty much to the 10th, when Venus moves over into Virgo. And that's when she comes into that conjunction with Black Moon Lilith. But we start feeling the conjunction of them around the 6th. And so that's when this energy is like culminating of like the goddess returning and the purification and the initiation of the divine feminine. And so the conjunctions on the 10th, 10-10, and the opposition with the exact oppositions with Saturn, Venus opposite Saturn on the 11th, Black Moon Lilith opposite Saturn on the 12th. And so that's so powerful because it leads us into our the first eclipse, which is a solar eclipse. Very powerful solar eclipse happening on October 14th. And so that's like the energy leading into it is this Black Moon Lilith Venus conjunction now in Virgo opposing Saturn in Pisces. And so it just like this just starts this whole dynamic energy of October. And a lot of that has to do with the Sun and Mars and now Mercury finally completing his time in Virgo. I mean, he loves Virgo because it's his home sign, but it's been a lot of pressure to come into clarity, to clean up the mind, to clean up the perspective. And so it's Mercury is in the Kite right now, and that will last through the 8th of October, right up until that Venus, Black Moon Lilith, purification of the feminine. And it's like literally no dark feminine anymore. It doesn't exist. That concept is done and gone and buried. And we can heal and come back to the mother and trust her love again. So Mercury Kite, this opposition with Neptune. So right now we're in the exact opposition of Mercury Neptune, which is why things are so strange and so weird. And if it was just Mercury opposite Neptune, it'd be like this challenge of like all this control and programming and propaganda. Oh, this is reality. This is reality. This is reality. And Mercury being like, no, wait a minute. I'm holding to what's right and true. The fact that there's an Earth trine being created makes this a kite, a trine with Uranus in Taurus and a trine with Pluto in Capricorn. And so this is about lifting above the delusions and coming back to true clarity in our heart and our soul. The Mercury Kite, very powerful because it's about this levitation. This is one of the things that is these deeper mysteries, the technologies that have been stolen from us and hidden from us. We have this ability to levitate our bodies. The weight, gravity, and the science of that is completely wrong. We're electric beings, and it's about polarity. And we have the power to switch this polarity. And this is what the Great Pyramids are all about. It's like, hello, can't get rid of these things. How were they built? And it's that secret of levitation. And this is our third Earth trine kite. There was also an Earth trine kite at the time of that signing of the Declaration of Independence. And so this is really important of us rising above, levitating above these dark stories and being like, we see you. No, no more. And it's incredibly powerful because it's about facing down those delusions. Mercury's so empowered after this retrograde, facing down those delusions of the Piscean age and rising above the whole story. Like we're complete. I mean, this is Saturn going back to 0 degrees. We're completely rewriting the Piscean age and claiming back because we've gotten this message like we can't just clean up the trauma of the Piscean age. We've got to reclaim the magic and miracles. And that's coming. Now, this is one of the things when you get oppressed, this energy of like, oh my gosh, how are we ever going to get out of this nightmare mess of the world if you know the truth of what's going on? And the message again and again that is helpful to me that's come through is that, well, in order for the miracles, you need an opportunity for miracles. And this is what's happening. And then we are the miracle, which is a little bit intense pressure for us supernova souls. But, here we are, the hero on the journey. And it's coming to the final chapters, right? This is the final hour. And what a beautiful time to be alive, right? So this is definitely the message too. It's like part of overcoming and getting out of victim and learning to forgive our oppressors is because when you have a glimpse of how beautiful it is, what's coming in the finally reaping what we've sown, and finally having returned to us what was stolen, then it's so much easier from that place to be like, oh, thank you for whatever got me here, Like, so you guys did these horrible things to me again and again and again, and I put up with it, but thank you. I love you because it got me here. And you don't care. And this is the absolute most powerful energy in the universe is this forgiveness. This is what gets us out of that original contract. Seeing that all of these forces are within God's play and we are God and now we're outside of it. And we're ready to roll and run with it, right? Get into our rock star situation. So, but it's very, very challenging. But this Mercury kite is like, come on, lift it up, levitate. It's our third kite over the last month, 5 weeks. And it's like, all right, labor contractions, lift it up, lift it up, lift it up. And labor, you birth a baby and it's so beautiful, but the contractions hurt. And this is where we're at. We're birthing the mother through us, through our body, as we say yes to who we really are in our light body, just in time before they turn us all into robots. So the intensity, though, because we've got now Mercury. So Mercury is so excited to get into Libra because he's just been under pressure, just like Venus. And Mercury moves over into Libra on the 6th of October. So that's a big shift. It's like astrology is saying end of the chapter, beginning of the next one. And that end chapter, beginning of the next one is all the way from now through January. So we'll see what that's about. And so a lot of what we're feeling right now is the beginning of the fallout of Pluto square the nodes. We started feeling Pluto square the nodes at the end of May as well. That was when, Venus began to move into Leo. Mercury then was started his retrograde at the end of July, or moved into Virgo then when Venus went retrograde. And that was when she was in the yod last time, but she had no idea what she was in for. Now she knows her destiny and she knows her strength, and nothing is going to get in her way. And so that's really powerful. And so now the intensity really begins of this fallout. We still have Pluto square the nodes, and that shifts. Pluto has been 3 degrees from the nodes and now is back into 2 degrees. And so it's like this last little intensity of that, and that lasts through the 15th of October, and then 3 degrees through the 31st, the end of October. And so that'll be the bookmark ending of Pluto square the nodes. But when Pluto turns direct, that's that turning of the tide of us taking back our power, and we have no choice. And we're going to do it together, and it's going to be glorious. So, but the intensity of Mercury and the Sun in Libra and coming up into these transits that Mars has just done. Mars opposite Chiron. We were just feeling that last week. Now Mars is coming into on the 4th, 10-4 again, his exact conjunction with the South Node, which means an opposition with the North Node. And this is what we're feeling. But then as soon as that, on 10-4, when that happens, this Wednesday, that's right when we start to feel Mars and his next stop square Pluto. So for Mars and the Sun and Mercury, who are getting closer together now, or at least Mercury and the Sun are, it's like we're going to be feeling this is October. Mercury and the Sun making these opposition to Chiron, conjunction South Node opposite North Node, and then square Pluto. And it's just intensity, intensity, intensity. And so we're feeling this now. And this is with Mars coming into a conjunction with the South Node, bringing up a lot of this relationship trauma and grief from the past, of where we've allowed the narcissists to steal our power, where we haven't, supernova souls, had healthy relationships, and a lot of grief and healing around this loss of relationships in our life. And because we agreed to remain secret and hidden from each other, as well as the forces have kept us that in that way, and it can't go on. Right now, we come together, and we already have forged this incredible field, the supernova field of our connection to each other, which means that all supernova souls can draw on any of the advancements or realizations or clarity that any supernova souls have, any individual supernova soul has, is available for our whole group. And the work we've done on other levels is so profound. And that's where we've gotten to this point where there's we already won, and there's nothing stopping it. And it will be beautiful to come together in person and celebrate this and show this to the world. So Mars conjunct South Node, deep grief over relationships and betrayal, the lack of relationships, and betrayal by those closest to us. We've all dealt with that past life story and this life. But really, the energy around this tension that we're feeling is Mars opposite the North Node, because the North Node in Aries is giving us this function, this fight, this like, oh no, you don't, And it's like, okay, we got to be strong. We got to be in resolve. We got to be in our power, not let them pull us into that lower battle, And so this is the question of the quintessential question and issue of Mars and Libra, because he's a fighter, and he's just like, let me at it, battlefield. And then in Libra, it's kind of like, no, listen to Athena. We're going to negotiate. Although she's a warrior, she wasn't scared to get into it when she had to. And this is the thing, they've pushed us to this place where we've got to fight back, but we need to do it in a unique and intuitive way. And so this is kind of this growing tension and frustration. But how do we work it out without creating more karma and war and death and strife and playing right into the hands? That's what we've done again and again. Play right into their hands. They, fueling and funding both sides of every war. We'll find out. And let's not let them fund our war against ourselves anymore. We're going to get out of this trap right here, right now in October. Because it's really a psychological game. The hero's journey at this point is a psychological game to try to keep you under that rock, and your light is it's seeping out. There's no denying it. So anyway, Mars opposite North Node is really where we're getting this like, "Ooh, I've had enough, and we need this in humanity. We need people to be like, oh my gosh, but we can't get there unless we have enough truth. And this is where it's like, even those forces that say they're helping us, or it's like, are you helping us? Because if you were, we'd have truth. We wouldn't have this enemy of the people mainstream media lying to us every day, not telling us about the increase in the death rate, not telling us about the poison, not telling us about the infiltration, not telling us about our money going to biolabs and child trafficking. It's like we need to know these things so that we can stand up, you know? And so this is kind of where we're at, and especially heading into Scorpio season, um, massive disclosures must happen or we're not getting anywhere. And so we're feeling this with Mars opposite the North Node, this fight. And yet, how do we fight without fighting? And how do we stand up? Because the Aries North Node is this I am. It's a quintessential picture of what the human can become and is. And we've worked, SuperNova Souls, part of our mission has been to create this beautiful body that can host the divine. This has been what we've been working on. And to have it defiled in just a couple of years is just such a slap in her face. And it's just so depressing. But at the same time, nothing can stop it. We're a light body. We're not our human body. And so that's the energy of Mars opposite the North Node, this fight for life, that we have to get to the life or death place before we stand up and fight. This is the definition, actually, forward by the experiments and science of Bruce Lipton, showed that the quintessential essence of life is the fight for life. And this is why we're in such a dangerous place, because the nanotech is disordering our immune system and that fight for life, the quintessential definition of humanity, seeking to turn us into, instead of the beautiful expressions, masculine and feminine, zeros and ones, completely controllable. So the energy of this is like on the 4th here, coming up in a couple days, this exact opposition of Mars on the North Node conjunct the South Node. And the nodes, we're coming into eclipse season, which is the lining up of the sun and the moon with the nodes of the moon. The nodes are the interception between the orbit of the sun and the moon. And so that's why eclipses happen when they line up, because we have the covering and the revealing. So eclipses are about things being revealed, and also timeline alignments and adjustments because of that crossroads energy. And we can feel, oh, it's not just eclipse season, right? We're like in those bigger cycles, the 25,000 year eclipse cycle, where we're at right now. And so this crossroads energy is really intense. And so Mars coming into this interaction with the nodes just before eclipse season is just kind of starting this whole chapter of intensity and destiny and crossroads and timeline converging and the inevitability, at exactly that Pluto square the nodes. And that's the energy, because on the 4th, when he's exactly opposite the North Node, we begin to feel Mars square Pluto. And Mars square Pluto is exact on the 8th and the 9th of October. And just before Pluto and Black Moon Lilith have their triumphant purification and crowning. And so Mars, this is where he's really is like, because it's like that warrior trying to not get in the lower fray, but coming up against that false authority structures. And so this tension, it just starts right now, and it's like tension, 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 because then we have Mercury and the sun coming into these transits. So on the 11th, the sun opposes Chiron. And on the 15th, Mercury opposes Chiron. On the 18th, the sun conjuncts the south node opposite north node. Then Mercury does that on the 19th. Then Sun and Mercury meet up while they're interacting with the nodes right here in the middle of eclipse season. Whoa. And so that's powerful. Mercury and the Sun will come together on the 20th, 21st, right when they both square Pluto. So, like from now, and then that square Pluto in conjunction with Mercury and the Sun lasts through the 25th. And so it's like we're just in this intense square frustration, um, like opposition showdown energy, exactly for eclipse season, exactly for the completion of Pluto square the nodes. It's just a perfect storm. So know that at least we're there, right? We're coming out of Groundhog Day, that horrible feeling of waking up to the same nightmare and no way out and nobody around you, the way we've been feeling. And so, and we need you in your full faculties, in your full presence, in your full love, in your full knowing of what's right and good and true, and holding on to your soul, your precious, precious soul that has gone through so much in order to stand strong and true in the righteous right for humanity at this time. So thank you so much, Supernova Souls. And just a little bit about this in that timeline. On the 11th, we've got Pluto turning direct, a big marker, and then heading into that eclipse. Now, this is a total solar eclipse happening on October 14th, and it's at 21 degrees, 8 minutes of Libra. And the nodes at that point will be, I believe, at 24 degrees. They're at 24 degrees right now, the north and south nodes. So that's just a couple degrees off exact. So that solar eclipse on the 14th is so powerful, and we'll be doing a soul group session for that on Saturday, the 14th, leading up to the exact time. We're also going to have a soul group session for the full moon lunar eclipse that happens at 5 degrees Taurus, and that's on Saturday, October 28th. And so we'll be having soul group sessions, group intuitive sessions, because this is our time, supernovas. So we got to figure out who we are, and we got to get our act together so we can. I just see us standing in the light. Is this like human fence, but this light fence of like, yeah, our world now, no more. We stand for you, humanity, even though you've burned us again and again, and we forgive you and we love you, because now it's time to move on to our full expression, and it's ours. We don't just zip out of here with spiritual ascension. That's part of the trap. We have so much within us that has been suppressed, and we have been told that what has been stolen from us must come back sevenfold. So we have a huge expression of the talents and the gifts and skills and offering and support for humanity. It's finally our time to shine. So take heart, be present, do the preparation you need to do. We haven't been able to prepare because we've been so broken and so cleaning up. And it's like, we got to go. We're like Isis putting Osiris back together, going to these other lifetimes and retrieving parts of ourselves and putting ourselves back together just in time for this full expression. And, but that expression is coming, that time is coming. So prepare and be present and be in love and take the moment. Precious power of the moment. Breathe that breath of life and be in that righteous truth of the love that you are. 1 foot in love, 1 foot in light. Here we are, supernova souls. And I'm just so honored to know you, to work with you, to be connected with you. Amazing, amazing beings. And the future is bright, glorious for us. And don't let anybody tell you different. Be in that energy of celebration. And that's the marker of Venus and Black Moon Lilith. It's time to celebrate now. The darkness plays out, but we already won. And I love you so much, Supernova Souls. Thank you so much for your support, being a part of the Supernova Soul Tribe. There's information to sign up for that below and coming to the events. And there's also a link to donate if you'd like to offer your energy that way. But just being here, listening to these messages, being in the energy with us, is beautiful, beautiful support for our tribe. So thank you so much, Supernova Souls, for all you've gone through. Love you so much. I look forward to seeing you soon. Until then, I'm Adrienne Elise. Namaste.